Hi again. We're going to take a minute and talk about sketching and layout. Right now, we've just reviewed some basics on some geometric constructions. We're not going to get too deep into that. It's just some of the stuff we see that normally needs a refresher. But right now, let's talk about geometric construction. So I've printed out a couple of 3D models of some of the widgets we have from our textbook. And we modeled them. We have you guys and girls draw them up and then sketch them out. And then we put them on the paper. Now, the trick with them is this. You're going to turn those into you're going to turn a sketch into a 3D model. This is an example of one of those. This one we took off Thingiverse just as an example so that, we knew what was going on, of a portable cell phone stand. And it just folds up into your backpack and drop it in there. These are a little tender, but as we're looking at it, what's going to be the front view? How many parts are there? What do I need to know to do this right? So we're going to go back to some basics. So I'm going to move these off to the side, and we're going to look at a couple things. First off, this part right here. On the sheet, you actually get it, and it looks like this, if I remember right on your sheet. It sits on it like so, if you see in your textbook. And how do we determine what the front view is? Well, the front view is the view that shows the most detail. In that case, it is this view right here. So we'll draw that right here. And in reality, what we end up doing is I'm just going to draw this really quickly and sloppily, mind you, right here. Put some lead out my pencil. I'll rough in the shape, notch off that corner right there, figure out where that diagonal comes down and that goes across. There's our rough shape. Now, in reality, this part right here doesn't exist, so I would actually erase that off and get rid of it. So there's my rough shape. So my end view would look like this one right here, and it would be directly adjacent to my front view, like literally straight over. And all I'd see is our square. There's the same height, and it's actually a square, and then it has this diagonal that comes down like so. Actually, diagonal comes down like so and then goes to a flat line there. And I've got this notch that lines up with this notch here, comes across. So that lines up with this. Okay, so there's my side view of it. Now my top view would be placed directly above it, and I flip it so I can see my top view. Now again, let's reiterate. How do I determine what the front view is? It's the one that shows the most detail. Now this looks like printed with a warp in it. So what it ends up doing is doing this. And those will be straight. And I'm going to have a rectangle that goes all the way down here like so, and then does that. And then I'm going to have a diagonal that comes down, does this, and then runs out. So if I darken those lines up, again, remember I was just blocking things in there first. I'm going to end up with a view that looks like this. Now I'm going to do the same thing with my parts. I'm going to block them in, and then I'm going to refine them. So if I take that off and I look at this right here, this is my example one we used. If I turn it up, the most detail would actually be this side view. This is not actually the front, is it? Because if I turn it this way, this would actually be my front view of it here. Now that's with it set up. So I'm looking at this going, okay, I'm going to decide what my front view is going to be, which one shows the most detail, and then draw it. Now for the individual parts, that becomes a little different story. Each part might not have a front view that aligns with the front view. Let's look at these little legs right here. The most important part about them is how they fall. So I'd actually end up drawing this. Actually, that doesn't hook quite like that. So I'd end up with something like this and put the holes in. That would be my front view of this. Now, that's because it shows the most detail. Because the top view, all I'm going to see is a rectangle that then has an edge there, has a dotted line going across here, and a dotted line there, and then a dotted line here, and two here with a center line in between that, center line there, and then this notch would just literally show up as a dotted line there. That's all I'd see. My end view, right side, I'd see that top edge there, I'd see this edge here, I'd see this edge here, I'd see the dotted lines for the holes, and I'd see a dotted line there. I mean, honestly, there's not a lot more to it than that. So as I'm looking at this, well, my front view may or may not align, and it may not sit in the same aspect. My front view is still the view that shows the most information. And in your assignment, I expect you to go through and draw in neatly. Now remember, these are me rough sketching. In this case, I would go back, and I'm going to do it on this because it's down here farther. And I would darken up, and I'm using a straight edge, absolutely using a straight edge. And I would clean up those lines. and get this to look just exactly as much like an actual technical drawing in pencil format as I physically could manage. In this case, that's not that hard because this is actually a pretty straightforward part. Make sure things line up where they're supposed to, for one. Okay. And draw it all out. And I'm going to darken it all up as needed. And I'm going to clean up my sketches. And then I'm going to take my eraser and I'm going to get in here and I'm going to remove stuff that's garbage. Now, I'm going to reach across right over top of this camera right here and pull this thing in. This is an eraser shield. I talked about it before. Eraser shields allow us to do this. Clean up lines and erase stuff right out of the middle of our pieces without worrying about erasing what we don't want to erase. And they are way handy tools. They're darn cheap, to be honest with you. I think this one is like a quarter. You don't have to have them, but it makes life a lot easier. You can do the same thing with a pencil or a piece of paper and lay it over. I've been known to, if I didn't have one, I've been known to use my triangle to help block things in and erase around it. That's not easy, but it does work. I've been known to take a piece of paper and cover up what I don't want to erase. But anyway, I'm doing it. I'm looking at it, and I'm going to use my tools that I have available to me. The only things I really need are the pencil, the paper, and a straight edge. Erasers, yeah, it's kind of important, but most pencils come with one on it. So as you're working, use your tools, sketch out, and in this case, using our example in here, that's one piece right here. Do I have to draw the other one? No, it's the exact same part. So I'm not going to draw both of them. I'm just going to draw the one. This and this is the exact same part, so I'm only going to draw one of those. These bolts are all the same. And the bolts I'm going to literally draw on a side view. Okay, and then this thing is actually probably the most complicated part here. And its front view would very likely be this side because it shows the most detail. It shows all the ridges. It shows this. Side view or top view will show this bubble that my pencil's on right there. That's if I turn a little more, you can see what I'm talking about. It shows this hump up here and then the radius of all those. So it's kind of a toss up between where the most detail is. Honestly, I think it's probably this one because it's the largest and shows the most detail as opposed to this side. But there's a lot of detail in both. Just work it out so it makes the most sense to you and is logical, and we should be good to go for this point. Okay. Space your drawings out so you have enough room to put dimensions in. You have enough room to keep things neat and tidy. This thing I would definitely, when I drew this out and finalized it, I would definitely go in and put center marks in all of the arcs and circles, just so that I could basically, when I start doing my dimensions all came off the same place. That actually has an arc in it, by the way. And I make sure that I baseline all of my dimensions as well, so I follow standard practices. And then as I put dimensions on it, I'm going to be very neat and tidy, and I don't even know what that dimension is, so I'm just going to put XX there and XX here, and then find the center of this and put XX there. And then I would darken up my lines, clean them up so they're nice, neat, clean, tidy, and pretty. So that's what I'm expecting of you. I'm expecting this kind of dark line work. I'm expecting sketches of your parts, and they need to really look like your parts. So take your time. You've got most of this week to get all of your sketches done. In this case, I would have, like I said, 1, 2, 3, 4, at least 4 sketches of the parts plus 1 assembly. So I knew what this thing was supposed to look like when I'm done. Okay, so take your time, and we will see you as soon as we can. Thanks. Bye.